All right, we are live. So let me know if you can hear me in the live chat okay. If you can hear my microphone, tell me yes or no, and tell me where you are calling in from tonight. So David says, sounds good. Awesome. All right. We got people coming in from North Carolina, Arizona, Boston, South Florida, Nebraska, Long Island, Asheville. Ooh, I hope everything's going okay in Asheville, my friend. I know you all had some rough time with the hurricane. Hope you're okay. New Zealand, Atlanta, Kenya, Dublin, Alaska. Ooh, I'm jealous. I'd like to be in Alaska. Maybe not right now. Maybe in the summer. Applewood. Colombia. We got Arizona, Alberta. Awesome, awesome. All right, everybody. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So I'm super excited to present to you tonight on the Flash Loan Masterclass. I'm really excited to get to show you how to start coding with Flash loans and how you can unlock the power to borrow millions of dollars of cryptocurrency for free so that you use it in DeFi, trading, and so much more. Okay, this is an absolute superpower for developers because there's nothing quite like it anywhere else. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So tonight, let's talk about what we're going to cover. All right. We're going to talk about the basics, like what are Flash loans? All right. And how can you use them? All right. We're going to perform a basic Flash loan so that you can see how to actually do one step by step. And then we're going to set up an application that uses Flash loans to generate passive income. All right. So a couple of quick house rules before we get started. There's a couple different places that we could potentially be chatting tonight, but let's keep the chat in the YouTube chat. That's just one place that I don't have to look at a million different things. If you're asking questions, that's what it's for. I would try to save most of our questions for the end of the presentation tonight. It's too much for me to try to monitor the chat and code and present and answer questions all the time. I'll periodically check on the chat to see if there's any pressing questions, but we will have an extended time of Q&A at the end of our presentation tonight. Okay. Another thing I would say is, we are going to have some demonstration, some coding in this. Also demonstration of the code. You don't have to build everything from scratch. Don't worry. But what I would say is there's going to be step-by-step instructions to follow. You could try to do some of those, while we're presenting tonight, but I would definitely go back and rewatch this presentation to do everything on your own. Okay. Sometimes it might be too much. Try to keep up while we're doing it live. You're going to have a replay link to this later that you can watch. I would definitely try to get a big picture understanding of what's going on and then go back and implement it yourself. Okay. That being said, we're not going to have time. There will be a lot of code involved in this. We're not going to have time to do everything step by step. All right. Unfortunately, there's just not enough time to build this from scratch in this presentation, but you will get all the complete coding solution for this. You'll get an explanation for it. And, while this is not going to be a step-by-step coding program, if you want to learn the skills that's required to get good as a blockchain developer so that you can, use your own creative strategies for Flash loans and things like that, then the absolute best way to become a blockchain developer is with hands-on mentorship. And we've got some people from my blockchain developer mentorship in the presentation tonight. They'll probably see them in the chat. And I do have a couple slots opening up for the blockchain developer mentorship. If you want that hands-on help for becoming a blockchain developer, we'll work with you to get the skills that you need to break into the industry. If you're trying to land a job, we'll work with you to do that. And if you're trying to learn to get your skills to become a blockchain developer, we will definitely help you do that. It's the fastest way to do that. I'll put a link down in the description below. So finally, just a quick disclaimer. The strategy that I'm going to show you tonight is, a strategy for generating passive income with flash loans. There will be risks involved with this. All the code that I'm giving you tonight, is warranty free. Okay. You're going to use this at your own risk. If you decide to do this with real money, you don't have to do it with real money. I'll show you ways to not do that if you're just trying to do it for educational purposes. But yeah, there will be risks that we'll talk about towards the end of the video. And I'll be very clear about what those are. But this is an awesome thing to learn how to do, to really open up your mind to see what's possible with blockchain, what blockchain developers can do. And you can see that from what we're about to show you. So with that being said, I think you're going to get a ton of value out of this presentation. So let's jump in and get started. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about what is a flash loan in the first place. So we're going to cover the basics here before we get into the advanced. I don't want to assume anybody has any prior knowledge before we're getting into this. So we're going to cover the basics and quickly move on to the advanced topics that you'll need to know in order to pull this off. So what is a flash loan? Well, basically, it's a cutting edge technique that's going to let you borrow millions of dollars in cryptocurrency for free on the blockchain with zero money down, so that you can use it for trading, DeFi, and so much more. All right, as long as you pay it back in the same transaction. Okay. Now, the best part of this, there's zero risk that you can lose this money that you're borrowing. You can't be on the hook for it. So if you borrow like $1 million, there's no you can't accidentally fumble it and lose that money. The blockchain's not going to let you do that. Okay. So what does it mean to borrow money and instantly pay it back in the same transaction? Why is that even good to do? Why would you want to do that? Well, first of all, let's talk about transactions in the first place. So blockchain supports simple transactions and complex transactions, okay? So let's just say, for example purposes, that I send cryptocurrency from my account to yours, all right? That's a simple transaction with one set of instructions. It just says, take cryptocurrency out of my wallet and put it into your wallet, all right? It's just a simple transaction. That's the most common thing people do on the blockchain, just move cryptocurrency around, okay? But what you can do with blockchain is you can also create transactions that have multiple steps. This is just one step. You can do multi-step transactions. Like, for example, borrow some money, step one. Step two would be do something with it, like trade it or deposit it somewhere. Step three would be, take that money back and pay back the flash loan. And step four might be keep the profit. All right. So blockchains support this type of complex transactions with smart contracts. Okay. So smart contracts are just programs that run on the blockchain. Okay. And, if you're going to do a complex transaction with multiple steps, you can't really do that with your crypto wallet directly. All right. That just does one transaction at a time. But with smart contracts, you can basically create functions inside those smart contracts that have multiple lines of code. And each line of code in the smart contract function is a step, okay? And so smart contracts let you to do that. You need to be able to use smart contracts in order to do flash loans. So that's good. That's the power of unlocking that skill as a developer, to create smart contracts. But also, if you just want to see what they can do, I'm going to give you some smart contracts later and show you how to set them up in order to pull this off, okay? So, let's just summarize and clarify the properties of flash loans. So again, it's a technique where you can borrow millions of dollars in cryptocurrency, all right, huge amounts. Although you don't always need to borrow that much. Sometimes you can borrow a lot less. You can take out loans with zero collateral. You don't have to deposit any of your own cryptocurrency. There's no money down, okay? And you can basically do it for free, okay? The caveat there is that there will be some gas fees involved. Anytime you do a transaction on a blockchain, you have to pay a gas fee to the network, but there's completely free flash loans in terms of you don't have to pay any fees to the lender in order to take those out. All right. And finally, again, they're risk-free whenever you're doing the flash loan itself, because you can't lose any of the money that you're borrowing. Okay, so let's talk about, where do flash loans come from? Well, they come from these places called liquidity pools. So what does that mean? Well, basically, if you look at any type of DeFi app out there, we pull up an example here like Uniswap, all right? So Uniswap is one of the most popular applications out there on the blockchain. It's a decentralized cryptocurrency exchange where you can swap tokens. You can just tell the cryptocurrency you have and the cryptocurrency that you want. You click swap and it spits out, the new token. Okay. So you might ask yourself like, hey, where does the money come from whenever I get cryptocurrency back? Obviously, I'm giving it cryptocurrency, but where does the cryptocurrency come from that I get back? Like if I'm putting it into a vending machine, where's the stuff that comes out of the vending machine? Well, it comes from these places called liquidity pools, okay? So that's how DeFi apps work. Like Uniswap's got these. So like all the cryptocurrency that's sitting in the app, it's just parked in there, okay, inside some smart contracts. Basically, you've got decentralized liquidity providers, which are just anybody can get on the blockchain and say, hey, I want to provide liquidity to Uniswap to get passive income, okay? And I can just park my cryptocurrency in Uniswap to do that. And then Uniswap gets money for their application, and then I get money so that I can trade, okay? So it's a win-win-win, right? Uniswap gets money to run, I get liquidity so I can swap my tokens, and liquidity providers can get passive income for, putting their money in the applications, okay? So that is where flash loans come from, all right? Because most DeFi apps have liquidity pools. You don't really see flash loan specific applications out there. You typically just see DeFi apps that offer a secondary feature, which are flash loans, because they're like, hey, we've got these liquidity pools sitting there. We might as well make use of them. And anybody can take out flash loans from liquidity pools because they're just paying it right back, right? It's only leaving our app for like 1 second. And nobody else can even use the app while they're taking out the flash loan anyway. So let's just, open that up as a secondary feature. So that is where the flash loans come from. So whenever you are taking out flash loans, it's going to look like this. Basically, you have a DeFi app, all right? It has a liquidity pool in the back end, which is just a giant reservoir of money. And then basically you're going to create a smart contract that talks to this liquidity pool, all right? It takes out the flash loan and pays it back. And then this smart contract can do whatever you want to with the money, like do arbitrage, yield farming, or liquidation, all right? Those are the top use cases for flash loans. So that being said, what can you do with flash loans? All right. So you can do arbitrage trading, which basically is taking advantage of price discrepancies on cryptocurrency exchanges. So like if you see a token trading for $100 on one exchange and selling it for $101 on a different exchange, you can buy the token on exchange A and sell on exchange B for a profit. Okay. You can do other things like leverage yield farming. That's what we're going to cover tonight when we look at this passive income application. You can do liquidations, which basically is if people are borrowing money on other DeFi applications and their loan becomes delinquent, you can help recover those funds for a fee, and you can use the flash loan so you don't have to pay your own money to do that. And then there's other use cases like collateral swaps. Obviously, some things that are illegal, like exploiting a DeFi application, right? That's not good. Or things like sandwiching, things like that, right? You don't want to do that. So what are some examples of flash loan providers? Well, there's several out there. This is like DYDX, Aave, Uniswap, but my favorite is Balancer. Okay, that's exactly what we're going to use tonight. Balancer is a liquidity protocol. Okay, it's a DeFi application. And again, their primary function is not flash loans. They're a DeFi liquidity hub. They can plug into multiple applications. They have a decentralized exchange built into it, but they also offer flash loans, okay? And here's why Balancer is my favorite, okay? So Balancer, its flash loans are free, so you don't have to pay any fees to Balancer to take out flash loans. It's relatively easy to get set up into a smart contract. Like here's basically the template for it. You just have to copy and paste this and adjust it slightly for your own smart contract to get it to work. And then number three, the reason that I like it is that Balancer is multi-chain in the sense that the Balancer protocol is deployed to many different blockchains. And if you can do flash loans with Balancer, you can take these strategies that I'm showing you tonight and implement them on many different blockchains. So it's very versatile. Now, when I say multi-chain, I don't mean doing flash loans between two different blockchains. What I mean is that you can do them on an individual blockchain in many different places, right? So let's discuss a few other basics that we're going to cover tonight in terms of the technologies that we're going to use. I am going to do this on the base blockchain tonight, okay? That's what we're doing our examples on. So what is the base blockchain? Well, it is a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum, okay? So Ethereum is a blockchain. It's the #1 smart contract platform, the #2 market cap cryptocurrency. You probably have heard of Ethereum, obviously. But Ethereum has layer 2s, which are scaling solutions. Basically, it's like a second blockchain built on top of Ethereum, okay? It's linked to it. It's called layer 2. Layer 1's Ethereum. Layer 2 is like Base, for example. And basically, what it does is it makes everything a lot faster and a lot cheaper, okay? You still pay the gas fees in Ether on top of Base blockchain with the Ethereum cryptocurrency. It works just like Ethereum, basically, all right? But it's a lot faster, a lot cheaper, and just runs on top of Ethereum, and all these transactions get settled back onto the Ethereum main chain, all right? So why are we using Base tonight? Well, because it's fast, it's cheap. There's some good DeFi applications to use with this strategy I'm going to show you later. And if you want to test out your flash loans on a real blockchain, it's really cheap to do it here. It's really fast. You know, you can test this stuff out for pennies, which is pretty cool. So the other thing I want to talk about is because we're using a Base, it's an Ethereum compatible blockchain, which means that the programming language we're going to use tonight is Solidity. All right. So Solidity is the primary language for writing smart contracts on Ethereum. So this is the language that you write smart contracts for Ethereum, and also any of the Ethereum layer 2s, okay, like Base, what we're going to use tonight. There's also lots of other Ethereum layer 2s like Arbitrum, Optimism, et cetera, okay? There's other non-Ethereum EVM compatible blockchains like Avalanche, Binance Smart Chain, et cetera, okay? So if you can write Solidity for Ethereum, you can write for many different blockchain networks, all right? Now, the other thing that we're going to cover, I want to make sure that you understand, are ERC20 tokens, all right? Because these are the types of cryptocurrencies that we're going to flash loan, all right? So what are ERC20 tokens? Well, basically, Ethereum and most other smart contract blockchains let you create cryptocurrencies without creating a blockchain, all right? So like on Ethereum or Base, you have the gas token, which is ETH, all right? But then you're going to see all these other cryptocurrencies that run on that same blockchain, okay? Well, those cryptocurrencies are ERC20 tokens, which means that they are powered by smart contracts. All right, the cryptocurrency itself is a smart contract, and it follows the ERC20 standard. All right, so basically, this is just a standard that governs how these tokens should work, so that they're compatible with cryptocurrency wallets, DeFi applications, exchanges, et cetera, et cetera. So really, it just is a standard that says, hey, this smart contract, if it's going to be a token, has to have these specific functions like name, symbol, decimals. It has to have a way to move the tokens between wallets with specific functions like transfer from, and also users must approve the tokens before they spend them. That's the approve function is, okay? So these are the types of functions that we're going to see with the cryptocurrencies that we're flash loaning and the cryptocurrencies that we're like trading around and doing all that type of stuff. So just some basics that we need to cover in order to get this to work. All right, and finally, the main cryptocurrency that we're going to be flash loaning tonight is going to be USDC. All right, so USDC is a token on Ethereum, on Base, on many other blockchains. It's an ERC20 token, and it is a stable coin, which basically means its price is pegged to the US dollar. You can think about it a different way in terms of dollars, like its price doesn't change. It's not volatile, okay? So, yeah. That's the main cryptocurrency that we're going to be using, in addition to Ether, of course, that we're going to be using to pay the gas fees. Okay. So with that being said, I think we should just go ahead and do a flash loan. All right. So what we're going to do is head on over to, you won't be able to visit this link. This is a GitHub repository. It's private, but you should have the code down in the description of this video, wherever you're watching this. If you're watching it live on YouTube, it's in the video description. If you're watching the replay, it should be, where that is, or underneath, like if you have resources with the replay, it should be there with it. Okay. So you can go ahead and download that zip file. All right. You can unzip it and you're going to see some code. All right. And you can go ahead and open it up in a text editor like this. All right. I'm using VS Code. You can use whatever text editor you like. And you'll see the same, files that I have right here. Okay. So inside of that project, you can look. We've got a README file. If you look at that, all right, that's the same text that I'm referencing right here. Okay. So we'll come back and do all of these developer steps here in a minute. But what I'm going to do for now is basically just get everything started and show you a basic flash loan in your web browser. Okay. But you need to go ahead and download this code so that we can run it. All right. So whenever you downloaded that, you're going to want to go inside of your code, all right, and go to this contracts directory, and you're going to find this file here called Flash Loan Template, okay? So keep this handy. This is the smart contract that we're going to use to perform the basic flash loan. I'm going to explain this code here in a minute. I'm just going to demonstrate the flash loan first, and then we'll come back and explain how the code works. Okay. So in a web browser, that's where we're going to do our first flash loan. You're going to want to navigate to a specific website. It's remix.ethereum.org. Okay, remix.ethereum.org. So what this website is a browser-based IDE. Basically, it's a browser-based environment where you can write smart contracts, you can test them out, you can put them on the blockchain without having to install a bunch of stuff on your computer, okay? You can do everything in your browser. It's really nice for just kind of testing things out, all right? So you can see this kind of looks like a code editor here. And if you go to this file browser here on the left, you're going to see a contracts directory with some smart contracts already in it. Okay. I'm going to close these down. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new file here. If it'll let me. All right, there we go. And we're going to create a new file. I'm going to call it Flash Loan, capital F, capital L, loan, capital T, template, .sol. Okay. And what we're going to do is go back to this code editor. We're going to highlight everything and copy it. We're going to paste it inside of here. It's going to give you a warning that says, hey, do you trust the people that are giving you this code because you don't want them to scam you out of your money? I'm not scamming you out of your money, so click OK. All right. And so here's our basic flash loan contract. So what we're going to do is go ahead and compile this thing. We're going to select Solidity 0.8.18. You can see the version here, 0.8.18. So we'll select that. Well, my browser just decided to crash. All right, let's try that again. Back to compiler 0.8018. We're going to compile it. All right, it's compiled. Okay. Now we're going to deploy it. So one thing that you need in order to actually put this on a blockchain is you're going to need a blockchain wallet. Okay. So I highly recommend using MetaMask for this. Okay. So you need a MetaMask wallet. All right. You need to fund it with some cryptocurrency. Okay. So, and you also need to put this cryptocurrency on the base blockchain. All right. So basically open up your MetaMask. You want to switch to the base network. You can see this right here. If you don't see base already, you can just do add custom network and search for base. It'll come up as an option. You can select it. All right. And then you're going to need to send some Ether and also some USDC on the base network to this MetaMask. Okay. So what you can do is a couple things. If you have a cryptocurrency exchange that you already use, maybe like Coinbase, for example, they'll let you buy Ether and withdraw it onto the base blockchain to this wallet right here. You just copy that address, paste it in the withdraw, and you can fund it. Or a similar exchange, you can also do USDC and withdraw it to your MetaMask. Okay. Also, directly inside of MetaMask, you can just buy and sell like with a debit card or a credit card. Okay. So like, for example, you click on that buy sell button with MetaMask. And I just selected this. You can like select where you're located and you can just buy with a debit card and it will basically let you buy a little bit of cryptocurrency to test things out just straight in MetaMask. You don't even have to use a cryptocurrency exchange. Okay. So that's one way to do it. All right. You can do it with debit card, PayPal, wire transfer. I would probably recommend just a debit card or credit card because you don't need to buy that much. All right. So what would I recommend using? I mean, the wallet that I'm using for demonstration purposes, just to test this out, I've got like $7 worth of Ether in here, and I've got, $10 worth of USDC. So you could even have less than that. Like I'm using $10 USDC for our passive income example later, just to demonstrate it. You could probably get by with a few dollars worth of Ether, like $2 or $3, right? That would be fine to test this out over and over again. All right. So yeah, you got to have your MetaMask wallet funded. You need to have the base network selected. Okay. So now we're going to deploy the flash loan to the actual live blockchain on base. So we're going to select our environment. This is the Remix blockchain inside of here. So that's if you want to just test it out locally inside your browser. But what we want to do is actually select injector provider MetaMask. This is actually going to connect Remix to our MetaMask. And you can see that it's popped up my account here, 46480. You can see here, 46480, they match. All right, you can see my Ether balance here. It's very low, but it's still in there. It's the exact same. All right, 0025, 0025. All right. So in order to deploy it, what we're going to do is make sure the flash loan template is selected. That's the smart contract we want to deploy. Okay. And then we're going to click the deploy button. You'll see MetaMask pop up with the confirmation. It's going to cost 7 cents to deploy this contract. We'll click confirm. And then you should see the logs here. Boom, it was deployed. And if you go back to your MetaMask and you click on it, contract created, confirmed. You can view on Block Explorer. And then boom, there you go. All right. Cool. So there it is. Our contract was created. Okay. Okay, so now the contract's out there. Now we can do a flash loan. Let's actually perform one. So what we're going to do is we're going to borrow USDC, all right? So we're going to have to call some functions on this smart contract. So to do that, you're going to click this down arrow and you're going to see these functions. You're going to see one called get flash loan. Okay. What that's going to do is take the flash token address, which is going to be USDC. So we need to look up the USDC address. Okay. Let's go back to base scan here. You can search for USDC. Okay. And you're going to copy the USDC address. It ends in 02913. Just make sure you're doing the right one. We're going to paste that in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to borrow $100,000. Okay, 100 grand in USDC. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to type 100 and then 100, and then we're going to do 1,000, 000. And now we're actually going to put 6 more zeros in there, and I'll explain why. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me explain why I put 6 more zeros after 100,000. Well, that's because of the decimal places on USDC. So again, going back to the ERC20 standard, each of these tokens has a decimals. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, basically, that's going to be the smallest unit of the cryptocurrency. So let's look at an example. Let's look at like the US dollar. Okay, so US dollar 1.00. So $1, the smallest unit of the United States dollar is a penny. Okay, so 100 pennies equals $1. Therefore, the dollar has 2 decimal places after it. Okay, so if you're write a dollar in its smallest form, it would be in cents. So $1 would be 100 cents. Okay, so with USDC, there's 6 zeros after the decimal place.
An ending 0 is a 0 that comes at the end.
Sorry, my Siri just went off. There's 6 zeros after the decimal place on USDC. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we're going to write USDC in its smallest form, it's that you can't divide anymore. It looks like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So whenever we're dealing with money on the blockchain, especially when we're talking about at the smart contract level, smart contracts don't use decimals. Okay. So if we're going to transfer cryptocurrency to the smart contract, take out a flash loan, whatever, we have to express the cryptocurrency amount in its smallest form. So in this case, like 1 USDC is going to look like this: 1 followed by 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Similarly, if we're going to borrow 100,000, 100,000, we need to add 6 zeros after it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's 100,000. All right, so that's why, because it's got 6 decimal places. So going back to Remix, we got the flash token, which is the USDC address here. We're putting in 100,000 followed by 6 zeros. And now we're going to click transact to take out a flash loan for $100,000. All right, click transact. MetaMask is going to pop up. It's going to cost us 1 cent to do this transaction. Click confirm. And there we go. Open up our MetaMask. Click on Block Explorer. And boom, there we go. We just did a flash loan for $100,000 and we paid it back all in the same transaction. That's incredible, isn't it? 100 grand. Right there. Obviously, it's not quite $100,000 because the USD peg is slightly off, but basically it's $100,000. Boom, there we go. Okay, so now that we have taken out the flash loan and we've performed it inside of Remix, just a basic example, I want to explain this smart contract and the code that's inside of there, okay? So the best way to do this is going to be go back to my text editor in VS Code, all right? So inside your contracts, the flash loan template, you can see this here. So let's talk about the code. All right. So I'm going to go back and reference, let me minimize remix real quick. I'm going to go back and reference this balancer documentation, okay? Because we're taking out balancer flash loans. All right. So literally, you're going to see why I like balancer so much in terms of its simplicity. Here's the template in the balancer documentation for creating a flash loan. So they basically tell you how to do it. You can more or less copy and paste this into your smart contract and just modify it slightly in order to take out a flash loan. So let's look at what they tell us to do. With every smart contract, what you do first is declare the Solidity programming language version at the top. Okay, they're using version 0.7.0. We're using a slightly higher version. You'll see that in a minute. But then all you have to do is import the balancer flash loan contracts into your smart contract file. So these are just the libraries that they use to create flash loans. Okay, we're just importing them right here. That's what these lines do. All right. And then what you do is you create your own smart contract. All right, put this stuff inside of here. So we use the contract keyword to designate a contract. You choose contract, you give it a name. They call theirs flash loan recipient. You can call it whatever you want to. All right, this name is not required. You can use whatever name you want to. You can call it my contract. You can call it, Rick's contract. I'm just picking somebody on the live stream there. And then you use these curly braces right here and a closing curly brace, and all the code for the smart contract goes inside of those curly braces. Okay. Now, we want to plug our flash loan contract into the balancer library. So to use that library, that's what we're doing right here. We say our contract is flash loan recipient. That's this contract right here that we're importing. So this is called inheritance inside of Solidity. Basically, you're just inheriting from the library like a parent to child, okay? This is a library flash loan recipient, and you're just saying, hey, my contract is taking all of the behavior from the flash loan recipient, all right, which is the library, okay? Then inside of there, what we do is we create a reference to the balancer vault where we're taking out the flash loan. You can see this I vault. We've imported that from the library. We're just setting up a variable or a constant here. That's the address for the flash loan vault. Okay. See, I vault, just private constant vault, and it's just this address. That's the address of the balancer flash loan vault. Okay, we save that at the top of our file. Okay. Now, that's the basic setup. Now, the flash loan contract needs two functions. All right. The first function is to take out a flash loan. That's this make flash loan function. And the second function is to receive the flash loan. So function 1 is right here. Function 2 is right here. So function 1, what it does is it asks the vault, the balancer vault, for the flash loan. You're saying, hey, give me the flash loan. All right. And then the balancer vault says, okay, I'm going to give you the flash loan. And when I do, I'm going to look for the smart contract that just asked me for that. And I'm going to call this specific function number 2 on the contract. So you must have both of these functions, one to ask for the flash loan and one for to receive the flash loan, which is what the balancer flash loan calls on your contract. So a couple important pieces of information. This make flash loan function number 1, you can call this function whatever you want to, all right? But this one, it must be named receive flash loan, okay? Because whenever you ask for the flash loan, balancer is going to look at this smart contract and try to find a function named receive flash loan. So function 1, you can call whatever you want to. Function 2 must be named receive flash loan so you can actually get the money, okay? So let's just look at these functions. Again, make flash loan, it just takes a couple of arguments. the tokens that you're flash loaning, the amounts that you're flash loaning, and any arbitrary user data. Okay, so we're only going to ask for one token. You can ask for multiple tokens at a time. Hence, tokens and amounts. These are both arrays. Okay, and then the user data, and then it just calls vault.flashloan. That's this vault right here, and then it calls the flash loan function on the balancer vault and passes in basically the same data here, just plus the smart contract address. And then this receive flash loan is the one that gets called on our contract. This is when balancer calls back to us to give us the money, and it just passes in the tokens that were right here, the amounts that were right here, and then the fee amounts. If there's any fees, they're not going to be any fees in this case, and then any arbitrary user data here. Okay. And then this ... is basically where you can use the money inside of your own contract. Okay, do what you want to. So if you go back to VS Code, you'll see we basically just copied and pasted that and put it in here. Okay. So you can see I've done the Solidity programming language version at the top, 0.8.18. That's different from Balancer. That's okay. I've imported the libraries like they tell us to. Done contract. We've called ours flash loan template, which of course is different from flash loan recipient. But again, you can name it whatever you want to. Is flash loan recipient. We inherit just like that. We store the vault just like we do here. Okay. We just put an event in here for testing purposes. Don't worry about this stuff. But then we have our get flash loan function, which they call it make flash loan. Again, you can call whatever you want to. We basically do the same thing here. All right. And then we call the flash loan here. So this, just for understanding, is the address of the contract. Okay. And then finally for receive flash loan, it's basically the same thing. We add a special guard in here just to require that, make sure that it's only the vault is calling that. Okay. Which we have that here, but we just add in a special string to show the error message. We check the balance before and after, you know what I mean? Just some little extra stuff inside of here. And we require that the balance looks right. And then we emit an event, okay? Just for testing purposes. And then of course, when we're finished, we pay the money back to the vault so that our transaction is successful. Because again, there's no risk that you can lose the money when you're taking out a flash loan, because if you don't pay it back in the same transaction, the blockchain's not going to let you even do that transaction. Okay. And so that's what this line here does. It pays the money back to the flash loan provider. All right. Okay. So that is an explanation of the basic flash loan. Okay. So now let's talk about what we can do with flash loans. Because again, we can do so many things. We can do savings, lending, trading, all that type of stuff. But let's talk about the passive income strategy that we're going to demonstrate and actually show you how to hook a flash loan into an application so you can actually get to do something for real. Okay. So let's start off with let's talk about yield farming. Okay. So I'm going to pull up this application here on Base. This is Moonwell. So Moonwell is a savings and lending application. It works kind of like a bank. All right. If I launch the application, you can see it's got a bunch of cryptocurrencies here. I'm going to click on the Markets tab. And you can see that it's got a bunch of cryptocurrencies listed, like USDC, the Euro coin, Ethereum, Coinbase, Ether, all this stuff, right? And you can see that it's got a supply APY and a borrow APY. Okay, so basically what you can do is you can deposit cryptocurrency into this application. You can earn a percentage yield, and you can also turn around and borrow cryptocurrency on the other side, okay? So anybody can use this application with a MetaMask wallet They can connect to base. They can supply cryptocurrency, earn passive income. But what if you want to boost that, right? What if you want to take out flash loans to like increase that or like compound it even, right? So let me show you what you can do. So basically, this application, you can supply cryptocurrency and then you can borrow, right? But typically, when you supply, you have to borrow a different cryptocurrency. So if I put in USDC, maybe I could borrow like Ethereum, or maybe vice versa. Like if you supply Ether, maybe you could borrow USDC. And it's funny, it's got a negative interest rate. So maybe, oh, I see why. I was about to say, like, if it was negative, maybe you could like get paid to borrow. I see why it is though. Anyways, so what you can do, because this application's on the blockchain, like, yeah, the user interface is not going to let you borrow the same cryptocurrency, but because you can write smart contracts and it's run on the blockchain, you can borrow the same cryptocurrency that you deposited. So why would you want to do that, right? Well, you can see that basically this APY is broken down into different rewards. Like part of the APY that you get comes from USDC, but part of it also comes from the WELL token, all right? So if you see like this, like if you deposit USDC, you're getting back some USDC, but you're also getting a brand new cryptocurrency called the WELL token. All right. So what you can do is you can farm this WELL token at much higher rates than you would just by earning it inside of here. So how could you do that? Well, basically what you can do, just for simple math, is let's say that you were just going to take $30 of your own money or $3 of your own money. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to use something that starts with the number 3, okay, and ends with a 0. So if you took $30 USDC and then you took out $70 with a flash loan, then you could deposit that into Moonwell, okay, and then instantly turn around and borrow the same $70 back from Moonwell to pay back the flash loan. And so now instead of earning interest on $30, you're earning the interest on $100, okay? And you're earning that interest based on this WELL token that's spit out from this liquidity pool, okay? And yeah, so that's huge, right? Like now instead of earning interest on 30, you're earning interest on 100, and you're getting it paid back in that WELL token, okay? And that's because basically, yeah, there's interest for supplying and there's interest for borrowing, but basically, you know, these interest rates are canceling each other out, and you're able to, you know, just boost your WELL rewards based upon what's available there. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to take out flash loans to increase our exposure. You can also do things like automate this to compound over time. You can recompound back into this to increase those rewards to where that can really add up really, really fast, which is pretty awesome. Okay, so so you can see here, when you do that, there's with flash loans, there's with flash loans. What that's going to do, you can basically triple your rewards. And you can see what happens. Basically, how this is going to work is we're going to deploy the contract. We're going to send USDC to it. We're going to request the loan, deposit in there. Okay, we're going to supply USDC, borrow USDC, pay the loan back. All right. And then when you want to take the money out, you do the opposite, right? You request the loan, you send the USDC back to the contract, it repays the Moonwell. All right. You claim your rewards, and then it sends the rewards back to your wallet. So let's do that and get started. So in order to do this, we are going to jump back into our code here. All right. The VS Code. We're going to leverage yield farm. Okay. We're going to copy this. And we're going to go to Remix. All right. Now inside of here, what we're going to do, we can create a new file. We call this leverage yield farm. All right, paste it in, click OK. And again, we've got all the code here, okay? I'm just gonna demonstrate it first, and then we can explain it later, all right? So I'm going to answer a couple quick questions I see in the chat here. I don't understand how the flash loan remains in the borrowed amount until you withdraw. Doesn't it need to be returned instantly? So the flash loan doesn't stay in the borrowed amount. So basically, like, oh, well, I see what you're saying. So, for example, basically what happens is you are allowed to borrow. Okay, you're allowed to borrow. So yeah, let me repeat it. So you take $30 of your own money, you take out a flash loan for 70, you combine these together for 100. Now, this allows you to turn around and borrow USDC instantly. So you've got $100 in there. Now you can borrow 70 USDC and then pay it back. Okay. So you now have $100 in the protocol, but you've borrowed 70 because you can deposit and borrow. All right. Now let me also, before we demonstrate this, talk about the risks, okay? Because I want you to understand the risks before you demonstrate this with any real money, all right? So what are the risks? Well, always, you are using some of your own money with this, all right? Anytime you custody your own cryptocurrency, there's always going to be risks, all right? Like you could send money to the wrong place. You could lose your private key to your crypto wallet. Those are basic, risks whenever you hold your own cryptocurrency, right? There's risks because this is a DeFi application. So anytime you deposit money into a DeFi application, there's always risks that there could be a vulnerability in that application that could get exploited, all right? So that's definitely something to always be aware of. But finally, the biggest risk, all right, that you could basically incur would be when you're borrowing funds from the market, okay? So whenever I showed you this example, all right, of depositing 30 and 70, I use this number very intentionally, right? 30 and 70 add up to be 100, all right? That's very easy math to understand. So if you start off with $30, you can add that to $100 with exposure. You could scale that number to thousands of dollars, 3,000, 30,000, et cetera, et cetera. Or you could scale it down. If you want to try it with $3, you do $3 and $7 and add up to 10, right? I just use those numbers for example purposes, okay? Now, but I use 30 and 70 very specifically because Moonwell has something called a collateralization factor. You see this collateral factor right here? That number is 83%, all right? So what does that mean? Well, basically, it means that if you are going to borrow money, you can only borrow 83% of whatever you've deposited, okay? So for example, if I'm putting in, $10 of USDC, the maximum amount of money that I could borrow would be $8.30, okay? Now, if you go back to my example, I used 3 and 7, all right? So I'm borrowing 7. If you're doing $100, the maximum you could borrow would be $83, right? So I'm very intentionally borrowing less than that collateral factor. So the max I could borrow in this example would be $83. I'm borrowing $70 to stay safely below that collateral factor. Because what happens is if you borrowed too much, if you approached this collateral factor and crossed it, then your position can get liquidated. So that's the biggest risk in this whole thing is if you try some other cryptocurrency, especially a volatile one, or like USDC lost its peg or something like that, which is probably not going to happen, but it could, right? Or if you're using a different cryptocurrency like Ethereum, whose price goes up and down, and your cryptocurrency falls in value, and the amount of cryptocurrency you're borrowing, is now worth more than 83% of what you deposited, then you can get liquidated, which means you're going to lose your money. Okay, so that's the biggest risk of this whole thing. But that risk is pretty low when you're talking about a stable coin like USDC, and if you stay far away from this collateralization factor, which 70% is pretty far away from 83%. If you want to be less risky, you could do 50%, something like that, right? But yeah, that's the biggest risk to be aware of, and that's why I chose these numbers of 30 and 70, so that's easy to understand. So is this sort of like what insurance companies do with the money? Kind of. Which file explorer for Windows? You can use VS Code. That's a good one for Windows. So working on all the different use cases for flash zones. So we talked about them a little bit at the beginning of this presentation. We've got more videos in the Blockchain Mastery Vault on things like liquidation and arbitrage, which you can definitely check out. Okay, so back to our coding demonstration. So let's go back to Remix. Okay, so we've put in the leverage yield farm, all right? So we're going to demonstrate this and explain the code. So we're going to go to the compiler, make sure you got your MetaMask connected, make sure it's on the base network, you've got Ether in your wallet, and you're going to need some USDC. I'm using, I've got like $10 worth of USDC in here. I don't have very much. It's just for demonstration purposes, okay? But you're going to want to compile the contract on Solidity version 0.8.18, okay? You're going to go to deploy and run transaction, all right? You want to make sure that you selected the injected provider for MetaMask. All right, you want to make sure that your account's listed here and that your cryptocurrency amount looks right, okay? And then you're going to deploy the contract, all right? So we're going to select the contract, which it won't show me for some reason. I think I forgot to click compile. Okay, I did. So select leverage yield farm. It might have something else selected, so you need to make sure that you've actually selected leverage yield farm. And we're going to click deploy. All right, MetaMask will pop up. We're going to click confirm. And there we go. So we can see this transaction was succeeded down here, and we can view on Block Explorer. All right. So the contract was created. All right. Now we can see the functions are here. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is, in order to start earning passive income with this application, you have to send some cryptocurrency to this smart contract that we just created. Okay. So if you look here, you can see the address right here. You can copy it from here, or again, you can, on your MetaMask, you can click on the most recent transaction. You can view on Block Explorer. You can find the contract here. This is the contract that was created. All right. You can copy the contract address here. See, it's this E838. That's the exact same address that is here. All right. And what you're going to do is you're going to send some USDC to the contract. So in this case, I'm just going to send $3 USDC. So I'm going to click send. Sorry, I'm going to do off screen here real quick. So hold on a second. Let's just do it again. Let me just send it real quick. Come on. Okay. So you're gonna click on the recipient. You're gonna paste in the contract address as the recipient. You're gonna click the USDC coin. All right. You're gonna put in the amount. So I'm gonna do 3. I'm gonna do 3 USDC, and I'm gonna add a little bit extra. Okay, like $3.01. It needs just a tiny bit extra in there. Okay. The $3.01. I'm gonna click continue. You're gonna send $3.01 to the smart contract address. If you're just testing this out for the first time, I would definitely use a tiny amount of money, right? Like I would probably just go ahead and follow my example of like $3. You can even use 3 cents if you want to. It doesn't matter. Just make sure you got a little extra in there. All right. It's going to cost me 1 cent to do this transaction. Click confirm. So what we've done is we've sent 3 USDC to this contract that we just deployed. All right. And this contract needs to have that money so that it can actually deposit into Moonwell. All right. All right. So we just did it. We sent $3.01 to our contract. If you go look at our contract here's our contract we deployed. You can see it's got USDC in it. It's got $3.01. We're going to use this for leverage yield farm. Okay. I'm going to close all these other ones down. All right. And so now we're going to deposit into Moonwell. All right. So we're going to run this step here where we take out a flash loan for $30. We use $3 of our own money, not 30. Combine it with $7 of a flash loan, put it into balance, put it into Moonwell, or turn around and borrow $7 and then put it back here. And we're going to earn the bonus income this way. All right. So we're going to click this deposit function. We're going to do the drop down here. So for the initial amount, we're going to do 3 and then just followed by 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, click transact. So don't do $3.01. You need to leave a little bit of USDC in your contract. So just do 3. So it cost me 5 cents to do this transaction. Click confirm. All right. Let's see here. I got an error. 1 second. Make sure I didn't do too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I did 3. Let's just check here. All right, buddy, let me see what the error is. All right, we got USDC in here. Let's just try again. All right, confirm. Okay. It looks like it worked now. So I'm not sure why I had that failure, everybody. It may have been a gas fee issue or something. Hard to know, but it worked. So I just tried it again. If you see a failure like that, and you've deposited the money, it could just be a strange thing with the network. It went through the second time. Okay. So welcome to live coding. This is what happens in the real world. You're just kind of seeing how I troubleshoot these issues as they come up. Just challenge my assumptions, made sure the contract was there. It had money in it. And I was like, hey, there's no reason this shouldn't work. So I'm just going to try again. All right. So it worked. And there you can see, look, we took out a flash loan for $7. Okay. From Moonwell. We deposited $10. So 3 of our own money plus the $7 into Moonwell. We got back the Moonwell USDC token, which is basically our valet claim ticket to get our money back later. And then we basically took out the $7 of the flash loan, and we paid the $7 flash loan back. And now we have $10 sitting in the application, earning passive income for us. Okay. So now let's talk about accruing the passive income. So the beauty of this strategy is literally a set it and forget it type thing. Once now that I'm sitting here, like the money's in the application, I don't have to do anything. It just sits there and gets rewards for me. Okay. And if I want to collect the funds, then what I do is I just withdraw them. So if I go withdraw them now, like it's not going to be like, it's going to be like a fraction of a penny in passive income because it's only been sitting there for like a minute at this point, right? So really it needs time to actually accrue that passive income, right? So whenever you let it sit there and you want it to withdraw and actually get the money back, that's when you take everything out. Okay. So that's the opposite side of the equation. It's going to take out a flash loan, pay back the borrow. All right. And then it's going to withdraw everything out of the application and then give it back to your wallet and then pay the flash loan back. So that's like this step right here. So if we want to, after we wait some time, what we do is we basically request the flash loan, send the USDC back, pay back the USDC to Moonwell, get our USDC, get our well rewards, and then send everything back to our developer wallet. Okay. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that working right now. So also really quickly, if I go back to my contract, you can see that, I've got the Moonwell USDC inside of here. That's basically like my token that Moonwell gave me to say, hey, yeah, we owe you a certain amount of USDC. Okay. And then I've also got the dust 1 cent USDC that never left my wallet inside the contract. So you can see it worked. So let's go back to Remix. Let's do the opposite. So for withdrawal, I click this drop down here. And for the initial amount, I'm going to put in the amount that I deposited, which was $3. So 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to click transact. And I am going to, you'll see the result of that. I'm going to receive my $3.01 back to my wallet, and I'm going to get a little tiny bit of well. Like this is hardly any passive income because it's been a couple minutes, but you'll see that you'll get some passive income back here from well. Okay, click confirm. And then boom, there we go. If I go inspect the transaction on the Block Explorer, I can see that, yeah, there we go. So it took out a flash loan for $7 here. And I got the Moonwell USDC, right? We pay back the flash loan. We get the well token sent to our wallet, and we send the USDC back to our wallet. Okay. Very cool. If we go back to our contract, we can see that it's now has no money in it, which is what we want because we don't want any cryptocurrency sitting in the contract because the contract takes whenever we withdraw, it takes all the money out of Moonwell, it takes it out of our smart contract and sends everything back to our developer wallet, which is what we want to see here. Okay. So now I can see I've got basically my $10 of USDC is back. I actually got a little bit extra. Okay. Because I got a little bit of passive income and I also got some well tokens, which I can import. You just do well, Moonwell. And, it's dust. It's not even a cent because, we just did it for a couple minutes, right? You need some time in order to actually accrue some passive income. But, yeah, you can see my well tokens there. All right. So now let's explain the code. Oh, one last thing, actually. So if you come back later to withdraw your funds from this, all right, you will probably you're probably not going to leave Remix open if you actually let this sitting there for a while. So what you can do is whenever you can go look at your MetaMask wallet and you can rebuild this, okay? So basically what you're going to do is go through these steps again, paste in the code here to the leverage yield farm, go through and compile it, all right, compile, all right? And for the deployment step, you're not going to deploy it again. You're going to access an existing contract on the blockchain. So I'll clear these out, all right? And what you can do is instead of deploying the contract, all right, leverage yield farm, you can do at address, okay? So you can go here in your MetaMask, you can find the transaction where you deployed this, or you can just like copy your address and go to base scan. All right, you can search for your wallet address. You can find where you deployed your contract, okay? Contract creation, you can see that here. And you can find the contract address. All right, that's the one you used, right? So you can copy that address, go back to Remix, and then load that contract here. So at address, and now it's going to appear on your screen. You don't want to redeploy it because that would be a brand new contract without your money in it, right? This one is the thing. So if you go to withdraw later, you click the withdraw from this contract address and do exactly what I just showed you, okay? All right. That's just one little thing I need to touch on. So that being said, let's go ahead and close down Remix and check on the code. All right. So let's just open everything inside of Visual Studio Code. Let's look at the flash loan template. Or sorry, the leverage yield farm. And look at how this works. Okay. So this is going to be a little more complicated, but I'll walk you through it. Okay. So again, we import at the top of the file what balancer tells us to do. Okay, so if we go to our balancer flash loan template here, you can see, we just do the Solidity programming language version at the top. That's this. Okay, we import the libraries just like this, like I showed you last time. But we also import some interfaces that are specific to Moonwell. Okay. So that's what these are. So interfaces are like a skeleton of a smart contract, okay? It doesn't actually have the code for all the contract in there. It's just the interface that's like, hey, these are the functions on the smart contract, and you can load them up and you can call them, okay? So IM token, I just stands for interface. M is the Moonwell token. So whenever you get like the Moonwell USDC back, that's an M token, all right? So that's just the interface for those, because you mint and borrow and repay borrow with an M token. That's how it works. That's the protocol. Okay. So we got this interface for the multi-reward distributor. That's basically who pays you the Moonwell tokens. We got the comptroller, all right, which is the interface for that. That's just what lets you enter the markets so that you can say, hey, I want to start lending and borrowing on the USDC market. And it lets you do things like claim the rewards. Okay. So let's scroll down and look at it. So the leverage yield farm, we do contract leverage yield farm, all right, is flash loan recipient. That's just like our flash loan template. We just set some variables at the top, right? We've got the USDC token right here. Here's the address. We've got the Moonwell's MUSDC token, which we set the address for that here. Again, that's just the underlying token. That's like our valet claim ticket to get our USDC back whenever we withdraw later. We've got the Moonwell ERC20 token. That's the well token. That's this right here. We've got the address for the comptroller. That's the smart contract inside of Moonwell that lets us enter the markets and also like deposit and things like that. We've got the Moonwell address for the reward distributor. That's who pays out the well rewards. We got the address for the balancer contract where we can take out the flash loan. And then we have also an address for the owner. That's basically your developer wallet so that you can only be the person that calls the functions on this contract. That's this only owner modifiers for. And then basically let's look at a couple things. So what you can see is basically we've got two main functions. I'm going to collapse these. We've got the deposit function and the withdraw function. And then we've got these functions down here for get flash loan and receive flash loan. Okay. So again, we're basically importing the flash loan template from Balancer with this right here. So get flash loan. All right, going back to Balancer, that's basically this, make flash loan, and then receive flash loan. Okay, here's the receive flash loan. All right. So let's walk you through the code step by step and see how that works. So again, whenever you deploy this contract, you're going to send some USDC to it so that you can deposit into the application. All right. So that's what's going to be, that's the prerequisite step, is this assumes that this contract is deployed to the blockchain and there's already some USDC in the contract. So we're going to start with this deposit function. This is a function that gets called, obviously, whenever you're putting money into the application. So it takes an argument of an initial amount. Again, I use 30 in this case for easy math. And so what we do first is calculate the total amount. Again, we're saying, hey, we're going to assume that we're going to be taking out a 70% flash loan and a 30% initial amount, going back to this diagram that I showed you here, 30 and 70. And you can see we actually do that math in the code. So the total amount is the initial amount times 10 divided by 3. All right, so it's 30% initial, 70% flash loan. So the flash loan amount is 70% of the total deposit. So basically take the total amount, which you calculated here, and subtract the initial amount, 30, okay? And then we get the flash loan amount, which is now gonna be 70, okay? So we said a variable says is deposit true. That's just a variable that we're gonna pass into our flash loan, and we call this get flash loan function, okay, so that we can actually take out the flash loan. We just pass in the USDC address, the flash amount, which we calculated here, the total amount, which we calculated here, and the is deposit, which is true, okay? So let's go down to this get flash loan function, because that's basically what we did in our flash loan template. All right, so get flash loan, we've taken the flash token, flash amount, total amount is deposit. All right, we basically put all the variables into this flash data struct, okay? Flash token, flash amount, total amount is deposit, okay? And we just save those variables here, all right? And we put them in arrays because that's what the flash loan function calls for. And we call vault.flash loan. We pass in the address of the smart contract, which is this, the tokens, which is this, the amounts, which is this, and the user data, which is just this struct that we created with the flash token, flash amount, total amount, deposit amount, or is deposit true or false, okay? So that's when we ask for the flash loan. This is on the deposit, okay? And then whenever we receive the flash loan back, okay, we're going to go down this line that says, is it a deposit, true or false? So we pass in that variable, is deposit true, right here. Okay. And we're going to go down to handle deposit, because if it is deposit true, we're going to handle deposit. Okay. And this is where it actually interacts with the Moonwell protocol. Okay. So it's going to approve the USDC. Okay. Moonwell USDC address, total amount. It's going to mint Moonwell USDC. This is basically how you deposit into the application. Okay. You mint Moonwell USDC. It's going to take the USDC out of your wallet, put it in Moonwell, and give you back MUSDC. That's sort of like your valid claim ticket to get USDC back later, okay? And then we turn around and borrow from the exact same market, MUSDC, borrow the flash amount, okay? So we're minting $100 total here, and we're borrowing $70, which is the flash amount, from the same market, all right? And then whenever we're done, after handle deposit is done, we skip over this line because this is not false. We pay back the flash loan with this line. ERC20, data flash token, transfer, address vault, data flash amount, plus any fees, right? Which there's no fees in this case. Okay. All right. So that's how the deposit works. Now, really quickly, one thing I skipped over that I'll mention is we have a constructor function for this smart contract. So before you can even interact with Moonwell from a smart contract, you have to call some specific functions, okay? So we have a constructor function. This is the function that runs once and only once whenever you deploy the contract to the blockchain. Inside of here, we basically set the owner to the message.sender, which is just the user deploying the contract. And we have to do some sort of preamble, which is basically entering into the markets. So basically, we just get the M tokens, we put in a USDC address. We're saying, hey, we want to interact with this application. We want to interact with the USDC market. So we have to look at that comptroller and say, hey, enter the markets and pass in the markets we want to enter, which is the USDC address right here. Okay. And we don't get any errors back, then we're good to go. Okay. And also this function right here is to just prevent you from accidentally sending Ether to the contract. Okay. Now let's talk about the code from the other direction. We've talked about depositing into Moonwell. What about turning around and borrowing? Okay. Or withdrawing the funds. So we did the exact opposite, right? So here's the code path for that. We talked about deposit. Here's withdraw. So we pass in the initial amount. So let's say it's 30. Okay. We calculate total amount just like we did in deposit. Okay. Initial amount times 10 divided by 3 is 30%. Flash loan amount is total amount, 100 minus initial amount. Okay. And then we use the flash loan to pay back the borrowed amount. So is deposit is false. Okay. We do get flash loan. All right. We do get flash loan. All right. Same thing, but is deposit. So we do that. We receive flash loan. Is deposit is false. So we handle withdraw. And on the withdrawal side of things, that's this function here. Basically what we do is we calculate the balance. All right. We get the Moonwell USDC. We check the borrow balance current of the address that's this contract. All right. We approve the Moonwell USDC be taken out of our wallet with this line. And then we repay the Moonwell USDC back to Moonwell. So basically that's what's going to give us back our USDC. If we repay borrow, it's going to take the M token out of our wallet, give it to Moonwell, and Moonwell is going to give us back our original USDC. All right. And then we get the balance of the Moonwell USDC. Oh, sorry, that's what happens here. Sorry, we get the balance of Moonwell USDC. We repay the borrow. We can repay the borrow and then also get the money back by redeeming it. Okay, sorry, there was an extra step there. Okay. So after handle withdraw, there's a couple more lines inside of the withdrawal function. So we did get flash loan. So now we're going to claim the well tokens. So basically we get the Moonwell USDC address. We do comptroller claim rewards, pass in the address of this, give it the M tokens. It's going to give the well tokens to this contract, and then we're going to transfer all the well rewards that we got directly to the owner. Okay. That's your developer wallet that was set in the constructor. Okay. So it's going to take everything out of Moonwell, out of this contract, send it to your wallet, and then it's going to take all the USDC that's now in this contract and also send that to your wallet. So whenever you withdraw, it takes everything out of everything and puts it into your wallet. Okay. So that's an overview of how this code works. All right. Now there's one other tiny little thing I want to show you. There's a fail-safe mechanism in this contract, which is a really good idea to do if you ever develop your own contracts where you're handling your own money, where you can handle ERC20 tokens. I highly recommend this if you're developing your own contracts. I have this fail-safe function in here called withdraw token. Okay. And what it does is, let's say that you sent some USDC to this contract. So like, for example, let's say that you wanted to experiment with this, right? And you sent like USDC and you accidentally sent too much, right? And you don't want to go through the process of like borrowing and withdrawing. Well, you could just withdraw it with this function. You could just say withdraw token, pass in the token address with USDC in this case. And basically what it's going to do is going to take the entire balance of USDC in this contract and send everything back to your wallet. Okay. So if you got some USDC stuck in this contract by mistake, you can just pull it out with that function. Likewise, if you wanted to do this with USDC and you're like, oh no, I sent the wrong cryptocurrency to this, right? Or like I accidentally sent some other cryptocurrency to this for whatever reason, you can always get it out by just calling this function, passing in the address. It's a great fail-safe mechanism to have in all your contracts if you're a developer, okay? And then also you can't accidentally send Ether to this contract because that's what this function right here does. Right here. It prevents you from accidentally sending Ether to this contract. It won't let you do it at all. Okay, so we are about to wrap up our presentation here. We're about to enter into our time of questions. If you've got any questions, go ahead and start dropping them into the chat. I'll happy to answer those. While you're doing that, I just want to cover a couple things in terms of the README. So, I've showed you how to do everything in your web browser. If you want to get your hands dirty with this code, you can follow these instructions right here to basically run all this on your computer. Okay, if you want to get your hands dirty with the Hard Hat project, you want to run the tests, you want to deploy this, to a blockchain from Hard Hat or anything like that, you can just follow these simple setup instructions. Okay, they're in the README file. You can see that again here. We've got scripts for this. We've got a deployment script for our leverage yield farm. We've got test coverage for it for the flash loan template. We've got test coverage for the leverage yield farm. If you want to dig into those to see how this works more, just follow the setup steps. You can run the tests. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm super excited to show you how to unlock the power of flash loans, how you can create this application and really open up your mind for what is even possible with blockchain. So that being said, let's go ahead and open up the floor for questions. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in the YouTube chat. I will answer those one by one as they come in. And while the questions are rolling in, again, if you are super stoked about everything you're seeing in the presentation tonight and you've got light bulbs just going off for what's possible with blockchain, and you're just as stoked as I am about this industry. Again, there's so much opportunities for developers right now, especially as this crypto bull run heats up, to get into the industry, to increase your income and become a blockchain developer. Obviously, the fastest way to do that is going to be with hands-on mentorship. I do have a couple slots opening for my blockchain developer mentorship. It's the fastest way to learn all this stuff. We've got some great students from the mentorship in the chat tonight who will attest to the exact same thing. I'm going to put a link down in the description below. You can apply to that if you want to get started working with us that way. So we got some questions here. Can you explain a flash loan yield farm to processing liquidations? Yeah. So processing liquidations, basically what it does is, you've got like on Moonwell, for example, you've got these markets inside of here. So again, going back to that collateral factor, if somebody borrowed more than this 83%, or let's say they deposit Ethereum cryptocurrency, right? And they borrowed, let's say at the current Ether price, they deposited, $100 worth of Ethereum at the current price, and they borrowed $80 of USDC against that, right? So they deposit $100 of Ethereum, they borrowed $80 USDC, and let's say the Ethereum price goes down by 10%, okay? Well, they would be in liquidation territory because now the amount they're borrowing is higher than this 84%, right? So the protocol says you can be liquidated, right? And anybody can process that liquidation. So what you can do with the flash loan is you can take out the money, borrow it, help the protocol recoup the loss, and you can get a fee for doing that. So somebody says, I don't see the link to the GitHub. There's no GitHub link. There is a zip file down below. So you won't have access to that GitHub link. It's a private repository, but you do have a zip file down below that's got the exact same code. If you get liquidated, you lose your deposit. Yes. Will the replay link get sent to the inbox? Yep. So sign up for BMU, but the Slack link did not work. Can you get the link to the group? Yeah. Can you just shoot me an email to gregory@dappuniversity.com and I will make sure that you get into the Slack channel. Just email in and say, hey, I joined, but the Slack link didn't work. Can you please help me get into Slack? Let's see here. Didn't see the zip file. Let's see here. Let me just check. So the zip file's there. If you look, if you're in the YouTube presentation right now, you see the link up there. If you click the drop down to expand it, you should see something that says code, and then it should say Blockchain Master University, and it kind of does a dot. Just click on that link; it'll download the code for you. So we'll cover arbitrage. So if you are in the Blockchain Mastery Vault, we do have the arbitrage trading bot example. You can check that out. Will all the information on the interfaces on other dApps be in the docs? So yeah, we should have links to the contract addresses, right? So if you click on these, like the Balancer Vault, you can see the links there. See the Balancer documentation and the README file, okay? And you can see a lot more explanation, written explanation of how this works. You see the Moonwheel documentation. So yeah, all the documentation links are in there. With yield farming, you said you can double account balance very quickly. How long would it take, or how many transactions would require to double your account roughly? So it depends on what happens in the interest rates. If the interest rates are really high and you recompound, I have a spreadsheet that I use to calculate this, but if you auto compound quickly, let me see if I can find my spreadsheet on it. Hold on. I think at a high interest rate of like 20%, and you're looking at not very long. Let me look at the spreadsheet. Hold on. So does Moonwell have a test flash loan that you could use with a hard hat test environment? Yes, you definitely can. So if you look at the documentation here, you can fork the blockchain. That's exactly what we do in our testing environment. So like if you look at our hard hat config file inside of here, we're forking the Ethereum mainnet, okay, inside of the testing environment for the leverage yield farm. We're just running a fork of the mainnet. So yeah, you can definitely practice with your flash loans in a testing environment if you want to. Okay, let me see if I can find the spreadsheet really quickly. Okay, I have my spreadsheet somewhere that calculate all this out, but I can't find it right now, unfortunately. Okay, so let's see here. So let's see here. I have done a little bit of yield farming, but it looked more like a deposit of 100 than borrowed 70, earn interest on 170. Having a hard time wrapping your head around the deposit 30 and borrow 70. So it's because you're taking out the flash loan to boost your overall exposure. Because if you take out 30, if you use 30 of your own, you borrow 70 from a flash loan provider, then you can put in 100 total, and then you borrow 70 back and pay the flash loan provider back. Now you've got $100 of exposure in the protocol. And then you do the opposite to withdraw later. All right, everybody. It was a great session today. Great questions. I'm super excited to show you how to use the power of flash loans into your own applications, how to get your feet wet with all this stuff. I really hope this got the light bulbs, like going off, got the wheels turning in your mind, what's possible with blockchain development. Again, this space is, just full of untapped opportunities. Okay. One of the best opportunities out there is to break into the industry, to become a blockchain developer. If that's something that you want to do, the absolute fastest way to do that is with hands-on mentorship. Again, we do have a couple slots opening for the blockchain developer mentorship. If you want to apply for that to get help becoming a blockchain developer as fast as possible, so that you can increase your income, so you can work in this exciting industry, I've got a link for that down in the description below. So that's all I've got for today. Great masterclass, and I will catch you on